Pretty self-explanatory, pretty good. Both sides of the plate, good slider today, threw some good changeups, good movement. I'd say he's right where he was. He's really showing that he belongs here with the stuff, the great movement on his fastball, and I tell you, great poise on the mound, great demeanor, the way he goes about things. So he's going to be pretty good.
Do you feel you should be the favorite at this point for the last starter spot?
I won't have no idea until they tell me, so we'll wait and see.
WBC, again, Mark, I'll go on what I saw last September in the pennant race, what he did in the pennant race. That speaks volumes over what he did in the WBC or how anybody's pitching this spring, both those guys. They did it under huge pressure. They did it under bright lights. They did it in front of big audiences. They did it in front of good teams. They both show they can pitch here.
All right, well, speaking of the WBC, Seth Lugo's outstanding World Baseball Classic ending on a down note last night. 5 days after dominating the U.S. lineup, Lugo gave up 4 runs, 5 hits, over 4+ in the final. Still struck out 7. Definitely opened some eyes with his overall performance in the tournament. After the game, Lugo tweeting, quote, "Not the results we wanted, but what an incredible experience to represent PR. Something that I'm very proud of and will never forget." Of course, time with the Puerto Rican team. Without a doubt, with Wheeler pitching yesterday, Lugo last night, Gsellman today, the big question is what's going on with the 5th spot? Should be coming into focus. Nelson, where do we stand for the 5th spot?
Yeah, it's a very cloudy focus. It's a great problem to have because all 3 guys are pitching very, very well. I think Wheeler right now is kind of on the outside looking in because of that innings limit for me. When you look at Gsellman and Lugo, they're tooth and nail, right, down to the wire. They're both pitching so outstanding. I love what I'm seeing out of Lugo in big situations against tremendous lineups, all-star caliber lineups. There's not going to be a lineup he faces this year ever to be as good as the lineup he just faced with the U.S. in 2 straight games. Yes, ended on a down note, but he did some positive things. In spring training, you always take that out, right? He had 7 strikeouts. The curveball looked nasty. The slider was ramped up a bit from what we've seen before, and he had the nice velocity. But when he made mistakes, they made him pay for it. I still like Lugo right now for the 5th spot.
Todd, really?
You know what? I like Gsellman. I like Gsellman not for any of the other reasons that you alluded to for Lugo. He's done nothing wrong. But I think Gsellman has just been so good. He's got the dominant sinking fastball. He's going to eat up innings. I think you heard Terry go on and on about how good he is in that situation, how good he's been, how confident he is. And I think he's going to really be difficult to get out of that 5th spot because he burns up innings. He's not afraid of the bat. He's going to get ground balls. He doesn't have to have everything going perfectly for him to be successful. Lugo has to have a little bit better control of the breaking ball. He's got to be a little more, controlling of his finesse. Look, Gsellman throws sinker after sinker after sinker, and he's got Kevin Brown type of electric sinker when Kevin Brown early in his career could just go out and throw 80 pitches and have 79 of them be sinkers and get a lot of outs.
Yeah, that's very high praise. I think what they both learned from was, again, Bartolo Colon. They didn't go and try and match with DeGrom or match with somebody like Syndergaard. They said, well, listen, this guy's been doing it for 43 years with a power sinker and nothing but a sinker and getting outs. They modeled their game after more like Bartolo, pitching to contact and using that sinker, never shying away from it to induce contact and weak ground balls.
Well, Todd, let me ask you, you just heard Terry Collins talking about WBC. Well, I saw him pitch last September. But how do you measure Gsellman's performance in Grapefruit League against what we saw from Lugo in a real do-or-die type of atmosphere in the WBC?
Well, it's hard because you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, sort of in spring training. If you come out in spring training, you're just going through the motions, you're getting your arms in the right slot, and you get knocked around the park, but you're still a guy that's got good stuff, everybody's going to say, it's spring training. Nobody really cares. There's a bunch of guys with 60 on the back of their jersey. When you come in and you dominate in spring training, everybody says, spring training, who are you facing? So you can't really win for that. But, look, I give credit for Lugo battling through the WBC. I think it was probably a great experience. The adrenaline probably carries him a little bit more during this time of the year than you're ever going to get during a spring training game. They both pitched really well. It's a tough problem for the Mets to have. It's a good problem for the Mets to have.
How would you judge it?
Absolutely. For me, I put the notch to the guy pitching in the WBC because it's win or go home. It's high stakes. And we saw him talk about, yes, last September, but it wasn't win or go home stakes. This is a chance to see Lugo in a Game 5 situation or a Game 7 situation, something he may never do at the major leagues. But if the other guys can't go, you have that confidence to say, this guy's done it before. And he had a quiet cool about him. That's what I loved most about him. He didn't panic at any point, even when he gave up a couple runs. You have that idea that I'm keeping my team in a ball game. They're going to make a comeback. All I got to do is continue to pound the zone, throw strikes. 7 strikeouts against that tough lineup early, especially not having to throw 7 innings to do that. Very impressive.
So, Nelly, despite the rough finish that he had, those are the positives, in essence, that you take out of the WBC for him?
I'm telling you right now that the mental aspect of facing those 2 lineups, and when you talk about Venezuela's lineup, very deep 1 through 9, and when you look at Lucroy batting 9th and Stanton batting 8th, you're not going to face a major league lineup like that. To know that you can go out there and get outs, not have to be perfect, but it does show that when you make mistakes, how big swings turn the game around almost instantly. He's a guy that really has to, like you said, have his command, be able to work both sides of the plate, not really throw and try and overpower people, but that curveball is second to none, and he displayed that on the world stage.
Well, I'm curious from a pitcher standpoint. Really, it doesn't come down to them comparing against each other, because the reality is it's going to be who's pitching well for them and who Terry wants in that spot. It seems like he's got the edge going to Gsellman right now, and he's done nothing but help his position in that regard. You can't fault Lugo. He hasn't lost the job. It's just that Gsellman right now may just have an edge.
All right, well, how long, whichever guy Terry goes with and Sandy goes with, how long of a leash do you give whoever is the 5th starter? You give him a few starts no matter what, because, if you give him 1 start and, say it's Gsellman, he doesn't pitch well, and Lugo's pitching well in the minors, do you then make a switch that quickly? How long do you have to give somebody?
Well, I think you have to have some kind of a plan and something that you can stick to, because, again, you got 4 guys coming off of surgery. Yes, DeGrom has looked tremendous, and Noah Syndergaard at the top of that rotation, but, of course, there's always those little question marks. And if Wheeler's not going to start out in the rotation, then you're going to have one of those 2 guys being the 5th starter. You need somebody that you can count on in AAA to have built up and be ready just in case they need a spot starter or need a 6th starter, somebody to kind of lengthen out that rotation, because you know that bumps and bruises are going to happen, especially coming back, and when they have to turn it on. That's all you keep hearing about is they haven't turned it on just yet. And the other guys that are coming off surgery, they're waiting for the season to start. So for me, we have to see how Matt Harvey gets through his first 2 starts. Same thing with Steven Matz. And somebody's got to be ready down in AAA, whoever it's going to be, but they're in the plans.
I think that's the toughest part, because we're talking about 2 guys that could be middle rotation guys with 25 teams. They're for 5th starters, they're not battling it out like normal 5th starters. So for one of those guys to end up in the minor leagues is tough. But at the same time, I think we talked about it before, Nelly, it's different when you're going to the minor leagues knowing you're in the plans for somebody. You're going to be a big league pitcher. You're going to be in this rotation sometime this year. And there are some question marks. We didn't even really talk about Harvey. Matt's, you don't know with those guys having had surgery in the past year when you might need that 6th guy. So I think whoever goes down is going to stay sharp and not be dejected and be ready to come up and pitch for this team.